afternoon, what is up guys? Welcome back to the Beachbody channel, your one-stop shop for all debates, tips, tricks on bodybuilding and discussions on what is going on in our community. So today, I'd like to first of all mention the t-shirt. You dig it? I like it. I've recently started working with an amazing clothing brand. It's called DETHRONE clothing. I'll leave a link below. Honestly, these t-shirts are so high quality. They're so thick. I trained in them. I've noticed when I train in them, I don't get sweat marks. They don't stick to me. They don't feel disgusting. They don't feel like you just throw them in the shower and then put them back on when they've gone warm and damp, which happens to a surprising number of my other t-shirts. This is a 2XL and I'm a 56 chest, just for reference. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's beanies, and for the quality you're getting, guys, you're not going to find a better price online. If you want to place an order, hit me up on the link below, and the team at DETHRONE can sort you right out. Anyway, pay attention more to what I'm saying and less to the sick t-shirt I've got on today, because today we've got an amazing topic to discuss. I say discuss. I'm just going to talk at you, you're going to listen, probably while you're doing something else, making food in the kitchen, and I'm just on the side on YouTube. But the topic today is the Olympia. The Olympia was just over a month ago, and can I just say how relieved I am at the direction the sport is taking again. Sebum got his 5th win, rightfully so, let's face it, we all knew it was going to happen again. It's probably going to happen until he decides to quit. Derek finally got the win that I arguably think he could have got last year as well, although just like last year, I'd have been happy with either him or Hadi. They both deserved it, they're both amazing, they're both fierce competitors, and they're both at the top of the game. And for once, finally, can I say the guy I've been rooting for? I'm not the biggest men's physique fan. Don't know if I've really mentioned that much before. It's still very hard, but it's just not quite what I deem the Olympia. It's not what I think of. It's not what most people think of when they think the Olympia. But what we do think of when we think of bodybuilding and fitness is Ryan Terry. And finally, my guy Ryan got his Olympia win, what he's deserved for so long. Don't get me wrong, Brandon and Erin were fantastic, but Ryan he's deserved it for so long. He's been trying so long, he's dedicated, he's competed for so long. He's the face of some of the biggest, most influential companies in our industry. He deserved it, and I've met him in person. He's such a nice guy. He'll probably have no clue who I am. I met him randomly at a supplement store in Manchester City Centre, and we spoke about Greg for 10 minutes. That was also the same time William Bonyak said that I had the same phone as his 10-year-old son and took the piss out of me in front of about 10 people, but it was all good. I'm not going to mess with that guy. He's a fucking unit. But finally, condition, aesthetic, shape, an actual desirable physique is finally being sought after again. It's finally being rewarded at the top of the sport. Because let's face it, whether you're interested in just looking after yourself, you want to compete in Mr. Olympia, you want to compete in a normal show, or you just want to be healthy and look nice when you go on holiday, you want to look nice. That's exactly the point, is what I've just said. You don't want to look like a bloated monstrosity and think, what the fuck is that? Yeah, some people like that, and yeah, to a degree, looking like a freak is good. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is the last couple of years, we've lost so many great people for several different reasons. And I'm not going to point fingers, I'm not going to diagnose conditions, but if you're taking a lot of drugs and you're pushing your body too far to the point where you can physically see it at the time when you're supposed to be showcasing the best you can give, kind of need to step back and reevaluate. So at this time, some people thought Ramon was going to beat Chris in Classic. I have no idea why. I'm not in any way putting Ramon down. He certainly looks a lot better than I do. But when Chris Bumstead is around, you're not going to get anywhere near him. And just like last year, it wasn't even close. Chris came in with a tight waistline, his arms were even bigger, which was a criticism last year, especially with his bicep tear. His conditioning was so much better, which of course we all knew was going to happen because he's had a full off season and prep with Hani this time around instead of just a prep. And his routine was just on point. The guy always walks in like he owns it. That's something I've took from Chris as well. The next competition I'm going to be doing around March time, I was actually only talking about it the other day. Chris taught me the message. You don't want to go in there like you're trying to win it. You're going to go on that stage, you're going to get right in that show like you've already won it, like it's already yours. You're already walking in first place. And that's the message Chris rightfully displayed this year, because we all knew it was going to be his. The guy has such an amazing work ethic and he's just insanely gifted as it is. In regards to the open division, I started properly following bodybuilding in terms of like the high shows, the Olympias, things like that, when Phil Heath was Mr. Olympia, probably the 4th or 5th time. So probably around 2016, 17, about 2017 it was. And that was, again, right in the middle of the mass monster era where everyone was a freak, where you can kind of tell that something was going a little bit wrong somewhere in terms of maybe overusing drugs. If you heard the phrase, all gear, no idea. I'm not talking about Phil at all. I have nothing but respect for Phil Heath. He's one of my favourite Mr. Olympia champions. Although we do have to admit, 2018 onwards, it was the right decision for him to take a step back in terms of drugs. The gut wasn't great. I know he had several injuries, but the bottom line I'm trying to get across is look at the Mr. Olympias after Phil. Not going to go into detail about who I'm referring to, but we can all think of a couple of bubble guts, a couple of injection sites, a couple of injuries that were probably to do with things they shouldn't have been doing. I'm just glad, finally, that Steve Weinberger and all the other judges seem to have come together and agreed that bodybuilding wasn't really bodybuilding. It was freak building. It was issue building. And finally, bodybuilding seems to be more aesthetic again. It seems to be rewarding the guys who have the greater overall package. Look at Derek, for example. I mean, unfortunately, Nick Walker wasn't able to compete this year because of his hamstring injury. I hope the guy is recovering really well. I pray for him. I know he'll be back bigger and stronger than ever. And with Nick out of the game and thousands of people believing that this could have been his year, it eliminated a huge competition in what could have been a first place competitor. Although I have been of the opinion all year since the last Olympia that it was going to be between Hadi and Derek again. How many debates have you seen on Instagram and YouTube in the comments of videos and reels about how Hadi was robbed by Derek? I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way at all. I see two amazing, top tier, well deserving of first place bodybuilders. Two astounding athletes. They both have the same trainer. They both follow the same philosophies. They both, I don't know, they must be close friends or they spend a lot of time together and they must get on quite well, you can tell. But Hadi just didn't take that second place very well this time. And it was visibly evident, it was awkward as hell. But if you look at the comparisons side by side, Derek does dominate most of the poses. It's just fact. And I've said this to several people in comment sections of social media platforms. If you know anything about how to judge a bodybuilding show, you will agree. Yes, Hadi is massive, but what Hadi also has is a blocky waist, especially compared to someone with the shape of Derek Lunsford, with the mass monster build, with the amazing V-taper he has from his massive lats and his thick arms to his tiny waist and then his huge abnormally massive legs again. Derek has all the strong points that Hadi has. His posing, the sheer size that he's brought, especially since coming from the 212. I mean, for fuck's sake, he went from the 212 champion to second place at the Olympia to first place at the Olympia. Do you know what I mean? Look at the old bodybuilders. Everyone regards Arnold Schwarzenegger as possibly the best, if not one of the best Mr. Olympias ever. Put him next to somebody in his division, what will be classic physique now. Put him next to Chris Bumstead. Put him next to Ramon Dino. Even put him next to Wesley Vissers. Condition-wise, Arnold would be smoked nowadays. It's the overall package is what bodybuilding's all about. Just because Hadi was more granite defined conditioned slightly than Derek. Derek's overall package, his flow, his shape, his symmetry, is so much better. He has so much better muscle bellies than Derek, which mostly is just genetic. Unfortunately, it isn't something that Hadi can really build on. And Hadi deserved that win last year. It was so close, it could have gone to Derek or Hadi. But you know what? This year, Derek was just better. Derek was just the guy, he was just Derek's night. But the fact that there's a Mr. Olympia now that has a better shape, a better flow, a small waistline, there's less bubble gut, even though, like I say, Hadi has a wider waist, he's not one for a bubble gut, he is in amazing condition. These are our top two guys now in the open division. The open division is what's been known for years to be a circus of drugs and freaks. And I don't want it to be that way. Because I think bodybuilding in the open class should be a sight to behold. I think classic is only more popular than open now because people want to be more like the classic guys. They prefer the look. The aesthetic is much more pleasing and much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sought after. But that's only because the open guys for so many years took it too far. It isn't a circus act. Whether we like it or not, it's essentially just a masculine beauty pageant. It's all it really is. The aim is to look good, to look aesthetic. The aim is originally for people to want to look that way, for that to be the overall goal, the male ideal physique. I think it's a really good message to send to bodybuilding fans and young people just getting into the bodybuilding world, like I did when I first started watching the Olympia and Phil Heath was in first place, Phil Heath was the boss. That shaped my understanding of open bodybuilding because that's the first kind of bodybuilding I really saw. The 212 was only just kind of starting out in its early years. Men's physique was only just starting out. I can't remember if the classic physique division even existed then. I think that started that year, possibly, that I started watching the Olympia. But open bodybuilding is the heart, soul and breathing lungs of bodybuilding. If we can set the precedent that the mass monsters aren't the ideal anymore, and that good shape, massive structure, mass with class is what we want back on our first place stage again, I think not only will we have a better physique, not only will we have better quality athletes and better quality displays on show day, I think it will trickle down the ladder because there'll be less stress put on athletes to look freaky and to take loads of drugs that ruin the physique and put their health more at risk. We'll get a better aesthetic, better quality physiques on show days. Less people will get into bodybuilding and slowly become more brainwashed that bigger is better. It's not always better. Look at Ramy. So many people are saying Chris Bumstead should do an off-season and go to the open division. I don't think that, but I think the fact that that's even in the discussion shows what is needed for the open division. We need mass with class to make a return. And that is exactly what I think has happened, or is certainly what is forming last year, this year, and hopefully the years to come, with Derek Lunsford in the top spot and Hardy chasing him. And I think bodybuilding can make a true return and be less of a circus freak show. What do you guys think? Do you think it's good that Derek won? Do you think Hardy got robbed? Do you think it's better now that the Mr. Olympia seems to be rewarding better quality physiques? Do you think the sport is moving in a healthier direction? Do you think this sets a great example for the future athletes to win? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you disagree. The link is down below in the description, guys. I'll see you in the next video.